Hello, and welcome to the hearing to determine whether or not TTYL by Lauren Miracle will be retained at the Lovett School District for the middle school. Your job as council members is to vote at the end of this trial as to whether or not you want to retain the book and keep it in our middle school libraries, or remove the book and yank it from the middle school libraries and send the excess copies up to the high school. Those are the two options. Okay? So my name, as you know, is Sharon Schwartz, and I will be leading this trial as school board president. First, I will recognize Ms. Sherry Jennings as the complaining witness in this trial. And I'm sure she has some insight to say, and she'll be talking about why she wants the book to be removed. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President, for letting me speak here today. TTYL. That's the name of this book, if you want to call it that. There are numerous questionable portions of the book, and I'm going to lay out the 5 or so most reprehensible parts of the book, but I'm going to preface it by saying that this book is extremely vulgar and inappropriate for our children. Please remember that these kids are in 6th through 8th grade. Those ages are 11 through 13 at the very oldest. The girls in this book are supposed to be sophomores in high school. They are 15 years old. Even things that they're doing is inappropriate for their age group. And you expect that middle schoolers will be able to grasp the concepts that are laid out in this book? I don't think so. So, Maddie, named Madeline, she goes to a frat party at 15 with a friend, and she drinks what looks like Kool-Aid spiked with something called Everclear. I looked it up on Google. If you guys don't know, I know we're all adults here, but so Everclear is apparently an illicit form of alcohol that's illegal in many states. I don't know where this book takes place, but it is pretty sure that it's illegal there. I'll tell you. So wait, let me just tell you what happened. So she apparently starts stripping at this frat party at age 15. So here we go. Snow Angel writes, "Your shirt is at the frat house? That's when you know it gets great." Maddie, "Same goes for my bra. Adios, sayonara." Snow Angel, "Wait a minute. Are you saying what I think you're saying? Did you, take off your shirt on purpose? And your bra?" Maddie, "People threw money at me, Angela. I remember throwing, dimes and quarters and shit." So people are throwing money at her like a stripper at a frat party. Lovely example. I mean, You are all from Lubbock, Texas. Am I right? You know that we were a dry town not 2 years ago. And this book is promoting stripteasing with Everclear, illegal alcohol at frat parties. Lovely example.
I would first like to thank the school board for allowing me to speak today about this very important issue. As a librarian, the debate over the censorship of middle school reading material is one that I take very seriously, for it hits at the very purpose of my role in this educational institution. While I respect the viewpoint of Mrs. Jennings and alike parents, who are entitled to their conviction that the TTYL book is not appropriate for their own 6th grade student, I do not believe that I as a librarian, nor we as a school, have the right to remove TTYL from availability to all other 6th graders, or for that matter, to all other middle schoolers. I know what not all parents and not all members of the Lubbock community and faculty know about these students. Though they may be only teenagers, many of them have a wealth of experience. In my 18 years as a librarian at this school, I have encountered countless amounts of students that have dealt with situations like those represented in TTYL. Cyberbullying, popularity complexes, problems with friendships, and even inappropriate relationships with teachers or premature exposure to alcohol due to an irresponsible older sibling or even parent. For these students that have been faced with situations where the adults in their lives have let them down, either by setting a bad example or by simply ignoring the issues with which their children are confronted, it is important that we have literature that allows them to explore the consequences of their actions as well as the possible solutions. It is not my responsibility or job to say to a student, "You're only a 6th grader and therefore you're not mature enough to take out a book like TTYL." How could I possibly be the judge of that? With elementary school students, we may be able to segregate by reading ability, but in middle school, it's impossible and unacceptable even to suggest that we could segregate the library by maturity.
So, it's me again. You heard the librarian say that censorship is wrong and you can't segregate by maturity. Why not? Okay, they're 6th to 8th graders. There's a certain maturity level there. It's not like the kids are gonna know about like ejaculation and sex and drinking Everclear at parties and strip dancing, okay? Do you want your 6th grader dancing on topless on a table? I don't think they're mature at any level for that.
I would also like to point out, especially to parents like Mrs. Jennings, that TTYL is not a required reading. It's not being taught in our classrooms, and no student is compelled by this institution to read it. I am not asking that every student be forced to read TTYL, but rather I am asking that the library remain a place where titles like TTYL are at the very least available to every student. That is what a library should be. Thank you for listening, and I hope you will vote to retain this book in the middle school library.
And the cherry on top of this whole book is really the student-teacher relationship that permeates the novel. So at the end of the book, Zoe talks to her teacher, and he talks about wanting to hot tub with her in a house that he's house sitting for neighbors that live nearby. So Zoe Go writes, "He told me about the Kravitz's house, how nice it was, and he told me about the hot tub again. And then he lowered his voice and said, 'You're still coming, right?' Snow Angel, ooh, it gets me excited, what you say. Zoe Girl, I said, 'I think so, yeah.' And he said, 'Good.' Then he touched my hand really lightly and said, 'You can wear your bikini.' Snow Angel, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Zoe Girl, at first I thought he was just teasing me. And I said, 'Yeah, right, me in a bikini. Wouldn't that be a lovely sight?' Snow Angel, tisk tisk, you'd look great in a bikini. Zoe Girl, I don't even own one. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that his eyes kind of dipped over my body and he said, 'It would indeed be a lovely sight. I've been looking forward to it.'"
I'm not here to preach to you about how to raise your children, and I'm not here to talk to you about the details of censorship and its complex history. I just want to remind you all of something that we tend to forget as parents. You can't know everything that your kid does. When I was growing up in the late 60s, my parents certainly never held the expectations that they would know every detail about my teenage life. And I turned out fine. What I'm trying to say is that we need to realize that the events depicted in TTYL are the kinds of things that happen when you're a youngster. And I, for one, am not going to pretend otherwise. Sometimes you have to learn how to handle the raw, harsh truth. Censoring TTYL won't change the fact that if your teenager wants to go out and see a PG-13 movie, they'll find a way to see one. We can't keep them sheltered forever. And if we attempt to, despite all of our children's efforts to break free and experience the world, then we might just end up losing them. I really hope that after this other type of parental viewpoint, many of you will understand that we need to keep TTYL in the libraries for our children to be able to read and relate to. And we can't pretend these aren't issues that aren't present in the middle school and in the high school. Thank you for listening.
So, Joni Mitchellson. I mean, we see the parallels there. Her name's Joni, which probably means she's a hippie. Which hippies are bad. She probably smoked weed with her friends and dropped acid with her kids. That's why she likes this book, because Joni Mitchellson takes LSD daily. Fact.
Peace, love, and music. I just think the children should have a free world where everyone can read what they want. It would be beautiful.
Good evening, board. Excuse me for my overly academic interpretation. I'm an English major by training. When I first read TTYL, I found it a really interesting novel to analyze. First glance, there's not too much true academic merit in this novel. As previously stated, the dialogue is solely comprised of abbreviated shorthand instant message dialogue. Phrases such as LOL, WTF, forever, and JK are all used multiple times throughout the book. Obviously, no self-respecting English teacher would even consider having this book as part of his curriculum. However, you also must remember that not all novels are meant for purely academical purposes. In fact, the concept of the novel has rather academic roots. Now, once again, forgive me for being so academic, but I'll give you a brief history about the conception of the modern novel. The modern novel, the concept of the modern novel arose around in the 15th to 16th century. Previously, books were often purely for academical purposes or for official purposes. But with the rise of cheaper printing, mass amounts of books began to flood the market. These books were not meant for greater learning, rather they were meant for just personal entertainment. At the essence, these were personal books. Books that created a special bond between reader and prose. These novels were often fantastical romances, scandalous memoirs, and petite histoires. The great literary genius Goethe once said in his masterpiece, The Sorrows of Young Werther, let this little book be thy friend. Thou cannot find a dearer companion. I think Goethe meant that we should keep the novel close to our heart. His novel captured the raw emotions of a hopeless romantic. And now, since we are given 5 days to read the book, TTYL, as part of the censorship process, I diligently went through this novel. Now, I'm a mid-age professional, and clearly a lot of this does not affect me, and I have little connection with it. But I could see it as a book close to the heart for for high schoolers everywhere. The novel goes through the challenges and trials of high school and growing up. Its prose is grammatically blasphemous, but it's also raw and unadulterated. Even look at the physical makeup of the book. It's small, meant more as a pocketbook, something meant to be read in bed or to pass time along. This book is scandalous, but at the same time, it's earnest. There's no narrator forcing a specific view, agenda, or idea. Rather, we're exposed to the most intimate conversations of these high school friends. Ultimately, my view is that TTYL indeed lacks true academic merit. It should not be taught in classrooms, and I think that point is obvious. But we cannot hide the fact that it's also a novel. And, in my opinion, it might represent the idea of the novel in its most purest and most ancient form. It is a deeply personal book, much like a diary or a memoir, but adhering to the new 21st century formats of communication. So please consider all of this when you make your vote.
So, there are multiple things that are wrong with this passage. Not only is there an illicit student-teacher relationship that the student is clearly complicit in, but her friend, Snow Angel, doesn't say anything about it. Doesn't say go get help, doesn't say this is wrong, just says, hey, what'd you say? Exclamation point. You look great in a bikini. All she says in this passage. Horrible example for our youth. They're condoning a relationship between a 22-year-old man and a 15-year-old girl. And as a Christian, Mr. H is the Christian character in this book. There are no other fully Christian characters, and he's a child molester. That reflects badly on the religion and shows biases that obviously Lauren Miracle has against Christianity and Jesus.
Honestly, I think I was kind of nice to TTYL in the hearing, but you know what I really don't like? I don't like parents who obviously have not read the whole text. Obviously, Mrs. Jennings has not read all of the book. She's just quoting like the hot spots in here. And as an English teacher, I can't stand that. At least finish the book. Come on, especially this book. This book is so easy. It goes so quickly. And honestly, it's trash. It's trash, but just read the book before you complain about it. So that's why I'm giving her such a hard time. I'm really going to try to defend this book just because of that.
So, in summation, these are the 5 hot spots in the book, and I would say that on these bases, you should vote to pull this book from our middle school libraries. It clearly isn't appropriate, and you need to do the right thing for our children. Vote today to pull this off our shelves.
I know that you guys have other things to do. Same here. But unfortunately, we have to be here for this trial. I'm going to keep this short and simple, and this is what I think about the book. Lauren Miracle actually stated that this book was meant for high schoolers. And I agree with her. Look what's happening right now. School is an environment meant for kids to study, for kids to expand their knowledge, gain friends, and it's a place meant to be free of distractions. But clearly, like everything out in the news today, and even what's happening in this trial, is a distraction for the entire school district.
With all due respect, I think that the superintendent needs to grow a backbone. I hate school politics, and the more and more this trial goes on, the more and more I think that that's really the only driving force behind his actions. It's pretty clear to me that he only wants to appease the parents who are going to fund the school and will pretty much stop at nothing to secure their financial support.
Let's listen to Lord Miracle, and let's listen to the parents here. Obviously, it's for high schoolers. Let's give it to the high schoolers. But let's take it out of middle school libraries. That's all I have to say, and thank you again for coming.